This isn't a punchline, and it's not a scene from a comedy. It's the real-life testimony of one of Hollywood's most beloved entertainers, Adam Sandler, stepping into a courtroom and dropping a truth bomb that stunned the entire nation. No cameras, no jokes, just silence. And then his voice. What he revealed didn't just shake the walls of that courtroom. It shattered decades of public perception. Because behind the goofy laughs, the iconic characters, and the billion-dollar box office success, Adam had been carrying a secret. A dark, haunting secret. One that involved power, manipulation, and a man he once called his brother, Sean Diddy Combs. And it all started with a weekend trip to Miami. A trip he never wanted to take. A trip that changed everything. But that's just the beginning. It was supposed to be just another day in court, until the door opened and Adam Sandler walked in. No cameras followed him, no red carpet, just the quiet footsteps of a man no one expected to see there, especially not in this context. The room, filled with attorneys, reporters, and jurors, fell into an uneasy hush. The man known for making the world laugh didn't crack a smile. He wasn't there to perform, he was there to testify. Sandler took the stand with a stiffness that betrayed years of hidden tension. He adjusted the microphone, cleared his throat, and then he started speaking. He wasn't reading a statement. He wasn't acting. This was raw. His voice trembled as he described how it all began. How Sean Diddy Combs had invited him out of nowhere to spend a weekend in Miami. He called it the Brotherhood Weekend, Adam explained. Said it would be just us guys, relaxing, reconnecting. I didn't want to go. I had a weird feeling about it, but I didn't want to be rude. So he went. He told himself it was just paranoia, just his overthinking, but deep down, he knew something was off. He just didn't know how off. What waited for him in Miami would mark the beginning of a slow, psychological unraveling, one that would eventually force him to question everything, his friendship, his safety, and even his sanity. And that first night, it was only the surface. The mansion in Miami was massive, but it wasn't the size that unsettled Adam. It was the silence. No laughter, no chatter, just soft music echoing through scented hallways and incense burning in every corner. Everything felt staged, like a set designed to disarm, not to welcome. After dinner, Diddy offered a tour of the house. "Let's wash off the day," he said, with a strange calmness, guiding Adam toward a set of double doors. When they opened, Sandler froze. A spa, marble floors, steam rising, golden lights casting a dreamy haze. It looked like something out of a luxury magazine, he told the courtroom, but it didn't feel luxurious. It felt like a trap. Diddy stepped under the water first, robe off, confident and casual. "Come on, man," he said. "We're brothers. This is what kings do." Adam hesitated, stepping in fully clothed except for his shirt. He laughed nervously, told Diddy he just needed a rinse, but Diddy wasn't having it. "He pulled at the waistband of my underwear," Adam recounted, his voice cracking. Snapped it, smiled, told me, "Don't be shy. This ain't Hollywood. This is real life." The humiliation hit fast and hard. He stared at the tiles, the steam, anywhere but at Diddy. And then came the sentence that would haunt him for years. "You think I brought you into my circle just to tell jokes?" In that moment, something broke inside Adam. A truth he hadn't wanted to see became impossible to ignore. He wasn't just a guest. He was being tested, pushed to a boundary he never agreed to cross, and even though he stayed quiet, tried to play it off, and made it through the night, he knew it. The friendship had changed. He just didn't realize how deep the manipulation would go. Weeks passed, but the unease lingered like smoke Adam couldn't shake. He told himself maybe he was overreacting. Maybe it was just Diddy being eccentric. That's how everyone saw him. Wild, unpredictable, but harmless. So when another invitation came, this time to Diddy's place in Los Angeles, Adam said yes. "Just a chill day," the message read. "Old movies, laughs, recharge time, like the good old days." When he arrived, it was all smiles, warm greetings. Diddy, alone in a silk pajama set, holding a remote control. No assistants, no guests, just the two of them. They started watching one of their favorite old comedies. For a moment, everything felt normal, familiar, safe. But then, Diddy paused the movie. "You look tired," he said softly. "Come nap with me, man. Just rest. No big deal." Adam laughed, unsure how to respond. "Thought it was a joke," he admitted, but he wasn't laughing. Diddy stood, walked toward the bedroom, and glanced back. No words, just a look, a command in disguise. Against his better judgment, Adam followed. "I didn't want to seem weird," he confessed in court. "Thought maybe if I went along, nothing bad would happen." The room was dim, cold. Diddy patted the bed beside him. Adam sat on the edge, still dressed, tense. The air felt heavy. Then Diddy whispered it. "You're mine now, Sandy. You always were." It wasn't romantic, it wasn't playful, it was possession, control. And in that moment, Adam Sandler realized he was no longer dealing with a friend. He was dealing with someone who believed they owned him. He didn't fight, he didn't flee. He laid there, eyes wide open, waiting for the moment to end. And when it finally did, he left with a lie on his lips. "Thanks, I needed that." But inside, something had cracked deeper. This wasn't confusion anymore. This was fear. By the time the invitation to Aspen arrived, Adam was already unraveling. He hadn't slept properly in weeks. His gut told him to cut all ties, but the message came packaged differently this time. Professional, exciting. Creative weekend. Just the best of the best. Writers, producers, artists. Private resort. It'll be amazing. On paper, it sounded safe. Public, industry people. No reason to worry. So he went. But the moment he arrived, he knew. The air was too still. The smiles too rehearsed. Diddy was waiting, grinning. "Let's break away from the crowd," he said. "Quick ride up to my private chalet. Clear our heads." Adam hesitated, but again, he didn't want to make a scene. Didn't want to look paranoid, so he got on the snowmobile. The ride was cold and quiet, winding into the isolated white of the mountains. And then, there it was. A lone cabin, firelight flickering inside. Inside the chalet, the mood shifted instantly. Cozy? Number. It felt staged. A massive fireplace cast dancing shadows across the stone walls. And in the center of the room, a camera, mounted on a tripod, pointed at nothing, or maybe everything. Adam asked what it was for. "Just a vlog thing? Creative stuff," Diddy said, brushing it off. Then he opened a drawer and handed Adam a silk robe and tight shorts. "Put this on," he said casually, like it was normal. Adam's heart pounded. "I said I was fine in my own clothes," he recalled, but the pressure was there, subtle, mocking, like saying no made me uptight. He didn't want to be alone in that cabin with Diddy, angry, so he gave in. Changed clothes in the bathroom, hands trembling. When he came out, Diddy was sprawled across a bearskin rug, already dressed in his robe, watching the flames. "We're equals now," he said. "No layers, no lies." Then came the line that burned through Adam's chest. "Take it all off, be raw, strip the ego." Adam refused. Diddy moved closer, tried to untie the robe. That was the breaking point. Adam stepped back. "I said I was done," he recalled. "I said I was leaving." Diddy didn't yell, didn't threaten, but he looked at Adam with a quiet fury and said, "You'll regret this. This is about trust. You don't walk away from someone who sees your true self." Adam did walk away, down the snowy hill, back to the resort, barely speaking a word to anyone for the rest of the weekend. But the silence didn't mean peace. It meant the fear had sunk in deeper. And the worst part, he still had no idea just how far Diddy had already gone. Adam thought leaving Aspen would bring relief. Instead, it brought paranoia. He couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed him home. Not a person, but a presence. A shadow of what happened in that cabin. The camera, the robe, the silence. It all played on loop in his head. But he told himself there was no proof. Maybe it was all just in his mind. Until the envelope arrived. No return address, just his name, handwritten in a scrawl that made his stomach twist. Inside, a small, unlabeled pen drive, and a note. One line. "We all have ghosts. Watch what you say." Adam's hands shook as he plugged it into his laptop. The clip was short, less than 10 seconds, but it was enough. A blurred figure, dim lighting, a familiar robe, a camera angle that could have only come from inside the Aspen Chalet. There was no sound, no explicit threat, but the message was deafening. He had been filmed, without his knowledge, without consent. Suddenly, every doubt evaporated. The camera in the chalet hadn't been for a vlog. It had been aimed at him. And now, someone, maybe Diddy, had proof. Proof that could be twisted, leaked, used. In court, Adam's voice cracked as he described what that moment did to him. It confirmed my worst fear, that it wasn't just emotional manipulation. It was blackmail, psychological imprisonment. I wasn't paranoid, I was prey. From that moment on, everything changed. He canceled press appearances, stopped replying to invites, avoided Hollywood events. Friends thought he was reclusive, maybe burned out. But the truth was simpler and far more terrifying. He was scared, because if Diddy had one clip, what else did he have? And how far would he go to keep Adam quiet? Adam tried to bury it all, shove it down, laugh it off, keep moving. That's what he was trained to do. Be funny, be strong, be unbreakable. But the cracks had already formed. He started waking up drenched in sweat, heart racing, disoriented. Dreams, no nightmares, kept dragging him back to Aspen, to the robe, to the camera, to Diddy's voice, low and calm, saying things that echoed long after he woke up. At first, he told himself it was just stress, Hollywood pressure, exhaustion, but then came the flashbacks, on set, in interviews, even at home with his kids. A certain cologne would hit his nose and send his heart into a tailspin. A certain lighting setup would feel too familiar, too much like that chalet. He couldn't focus, couldn't breathe. During the filming of Uncut Gems, there was a scene inside a wooden cabin. Just a prop. Just acting. But when Adam stepped onto the set, he froze. The smell of the pine, the sound of the fire, it was like I was back there, he told the court. I said I was sick. I wasn't. I was panicking. The real diagnosis came in 2019. After collapsing on set, a doctor initially wrote it off as exhaustion, but a deeper look, sessions with a therapist, psychological evaluations revealed the truth. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Adam was stunned. I thought PTSD was for soldiers, victims of war. I'm just a comedian. I've never been physically attacked, he said. But trauma doesn't always leave bruises. Sometimes it leaves silence, and silence is harder to heal. He had been manipulated, gaslighted, filmed, threatened, and worst of all, he blamed himself. For years, I thought maybe I was exaggerating. Maybe I let it happen. That's the trick abuse plays on you. It makes you question your own reality, he confessed. His performances continued. His face stayed on billboards, but behind the scenes, he was unraveling, avoiding cameras, skipping premieres, ignoring scripts, not because he was picky, not because he was fading, because he was hiding from the past, from Diddy, from the version of himself that still felt powerless. And yet, the world kept laughing. They didn't know the price behind the punchlines. The breaking point didn't come in front of a crowd or under studio lights. It came in a quiet living room in 2016, on a couch, beside the only person who had ever truly seen through the jokes, his wife. After years of burying it, Adam finally spoke. Not to the press, not to a lawyer, to her. Every moment he had locked away. The spa, the chalet, the robe, the camera, the pen drive, the humiliation, the fear, the silence. She didn't just cry, he told the court. She looked at me like I had been drowning right in front of her, and she hadn't known. And then she said something simple, but seismic. You have to tell someone, even if no one believes you. Even if it doesn't change anything, you need to say it, out loud. It was the first night in over a decade Adam actually slept. From that day forward, he began a quiet but determined mission. He combed through old emails, listened to archived voicemails, dug up journals he'd kept during filming. He documented everything: patterns, phrases, invitations, warnings. Then he hired a private investigator, and that changed everything. The investigator unearthed something Adam never expected: a cloud backup. An old security server linked to one of Diddy's former properties. Forgotten, deactivated, but not empty. Inside it, hours of footage sorted into folders. One, in particular, made his blood run cold. Aspen, March 2007. Didn't have his name on it, but the images told the truth. "I saw myself," Adam said, "walking into the spa in a robe, nervous, silent, and he was right behind me, with a glass of wine in one hand, a phone in the other, the camera hidden between mirrors. There was no longer doubt, no more rationalizing. He had been recorded, he had been used." With his legal team, Adam drafted a sworn statement, detailed, time-stamped, and sealed. And then he waited. He waited for the right moment, for justice to ask the question, for the world to finally hear the answer. And when that courtroom door opened, he walked in, ready to finish the story Diddy thought would never be told. The courtroom was silent as Adam Sandler took the stand one last time. But this time, something was different. There were no nervous glances, no cracks in his voice, no punchlines to soften the pain. Just clarity, just truth. The prosecutor leaned forward and asked a single question. "Mr. Sandler, are you prepared to describe the contents of the recovered footage?" Adam took a breath. Slow, steady. "Yes," he said. He began by describing the encrypted backup, how it had been hidden in a disused cloud server tied to Diddy's old security system. A system everyone assumed had been wiped clean years ago, but it hadn't, and inside, tucked among the mundane security clips and party footage, was the folder that confirmed everything: Aspen Private Weekend. Adam's eyes locked with the jury. "I saw myself, entering the spa, wearing that ridiculous robe, nervous, unsure. He followed close behind, holding a wine glass, recording it all with his phone. The main camera, his real tool, was hidden in the mirror. No sound, just the image. But it was enough. Enough to silence the courtroom. Enough to finally make the invisible visible. I didn't agree to it. I didn't know. But that's the kind of control he had. He didn't need to shout or hit. He just made you doubt yourself. And when that didn't work, he filmed you." And then came the part Adam had hidden for years, even from his therapist. After Aspen, he received a second pen drive, another envelope, this time with footage from that very night. Short, blurry, but unmistakable. A warning more than a threat. The note: "Everyone has ghosts. Careful what you say." Adam paused before delivering the line that echoed through the courtroom. "That's when I knew. I wasn't a friend. I was collateral, leverage. A pawn locked inside a vault he could open whenever he wanted." He talked about the years that followed, how he avoided interviews, canceled events, and disappeared from late-night shows. Not because he was tired of fame, but because he was terrified of exposure. "People thought I was being selective, that I was protecting my brand," he said. "But I wasn't hiding from the spotlight. I was hiding from him." And then, as if fate had a script of its own, others came forward, anonymous testimonies, a former child actor, a musician, a producer, all with eerily similar stories, cryptic messages, veiled threats, clips that should never have existed. No direct violence, just the constant reminder, "I have something on you." Adam turned to the jury again. "For years, I believed no one would choose my side, that people would always pick him. He was too rich, too powerful, too connected. And me? I was just a clown, a guy who makes funny voices." He glanced at the defense table, then back at the crowd. But every testimony chipped away at the illusion. Every person who spoke cracked the armor he thought made him untouchable. And then, the final question. Do you feel safe now, Mr. Sandler? Adam looked down for a long moment, then up. No, he said, but I feel heard, and that's a start. With that, he stepped down, not as the Sandman, not as the smiling movie star, but as a man who had finally taken back his voice. And outside, as the cameras flashed and reporters shouted his name, Adam didn't say a word, because for once, the silence wasn't hiding anything.